What is up, y'all? This is your boy, Collin Berger. I am popping in on the first time ever as a solo sesh without Dan. It is getting to be that point of the summer where I'm getting busy. Dan is also obviously always busy. So I wanted to get my thoughts out before we get to the Blue Jays series on what has happened in the world of the Phillies over the last week, because we went from a team who had won 11 of 12 and was skyrocketing up of the rankings, had gotten to number one on ESPN's power rankings in the MLB. They had won 23 of their previous 29 games, and then all of a sudden Bryce Harper gets hit on the elbow. They get swept by the Brewers. They look like an absolutely terrible team. And I'm here to give my thoughts, maybe calm some of your nerves. If you're freaking out there in Phillies land, I want you to calm down, okay? Because we are 1/3 through the season. And baseball is a very long season. There's a reason they play 162 games. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some. So let's break it down to where they are right now, where they have been, where they're going. Now, we always have to take into account the opponents that the Phillies play, and that 9-game winning streak, almost 10, was against some of the worst teams in baseball, the Pirates, the Rockies, the A's. They looked great. They were taking care of all of those teams, and then all of a sudden they play the Braves and the Brewers, and it seems to fall apart. Now, that was without Bryce Harper, who's back in the lineup tonight, and it seemed to be one of those things where in years past we've seen this. The Phillies pitch well, and then they can't hit, or they hit well, and they can't pitch. In the Brewers series, they did nothing well. Jesus Luzardo got shelled for 12 earned runs, and I believe he had given up 16 earned runs the entire season before that. I don't have a fact checker tonight, but regardless, not good. But I am also the eternal optimist when it comes to Philly sports. Always have been, always will be. I never think the sky is falling, and maybe that has something to do with the fact that my generation, people of my age, or maybe it's just my mindset, we have seen nothing but winning in Philly sports compared to those generations that have come before us. Now, the first game I ever remember watching was the NFC Championship game against the St. Louis Rams back in the day. I had to figure out where they were again. St. Louis Rams almost made it to the Super Bowl. They lost, and that was the first football game I ever remember listening to or watching. And ever since then, Philly sports has been way better than it had been ever before then. They had no Super Bowls. They had 2 NBA titles, 2 Stanley Cups, 1 World Series. And then ever since then, it's been a completely different trajectory for Philly sports. I mean, you have the Sixers in 2001 going to the finals. Phillies finally break the 25-year curse with the World Series in 2008. The Flyers go to the Stanley Cup. The Eagles finally win a Super Bowl after 52 years. They get back to another one. They win a second one. The Phillies made it back to the World Series. Now they are the team that's being talked about town. There were only a very few low spots in Philly sports over the last 25 years, and it pretty much, you can break it down to the Flyers and the Sixers in the mid-2010s after the Flyers went to the Stanley Cup and the Sixers were going through the process. Other than that, we've had some really good runs. And that's why I think I am an eternal optimist. I think that, the sky is not falling. They lost 4 games in a row. Yes. Did they look bad? Yes. Are there questions? Yes. But now I want to turn the page and see what they do now. They have Bryce Harper back, which is a big deal. Mick Abel's pitching tomorrow. I'm not freaking out based on 4 losses in a row after they just won 23 of their prior 29 games. That's where I am. I'm looking forward to watching this game, which the first pitch is about 12 minutes, full disclosure, getting ready here to watch, settle down, enjoy after an off day tomorrow. I'm one of those. I'm in that point of the season where if the Phillies have an off day, I just don't know what to do with myself. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. But I have a feeling they're going to turn it around. I think it was a minor speed bump in an otherwise great and still high rising trajectory. And that's where I stand. a lot can be said. You can make the argument, oh, they only win against bad teams. Their record against teams under 500 is stellar, and their record against teams over 500 is awful. I wish I had the numbers in front of me. I don't. But they're playing a few good teams in the next upcoming series. They have 6 games against Toronto in the next 2 weeks, and they also play Chicago, who is playing great baseball right now. I think we need to get a larger sample size on where the Phillies are right now before we start casting judgments and freaking out. Because that's the crazy thing about us in Philadelphia sports and how we are as fans. Every 1 to 2 Phillies games feels like an Eagles game. If they lose, it's like the sky is falling. You listen to post-game Michael Barkan's ripping his hair out. I'm like, we need to calm down, okay? Yeah, did they not do good for a week? Yes. Are there 30 weeks in an MLB season? Also, yes. That's why we need to take it in like 10-game increments. The past 30 games prior to the sweep against the Brewers was great. Did they play some mediocre teams? Yeah. Now they're going to have some good teams on their schedule. We're going to go to the next 30 games. Let's see where they are in a week or so and then really figure it out. Because this team is hot and cold. They're streaky. That's what they are. It sucks, especially when they go cold in the playoffs like they have. But I'm not ready to write this team off just because they've lost 4 games in a row. That's where I stand right now. I would like to see how Bryce Harper is when he returns from injury. I was hearing over the weekend that he hadn't even thrown a ball yet. So the fact that he is now back in the starting lineup tonight is going to be interesting. Definitely looking to see how he fares after his short 6-game absence. I also would like to see what the Toronto Blue Jays have, because this is the first time we're seeing them all year. I'd like to see what Mick Abel has tomorrow. They're playing up in Canada. Most of those guys might be watching the Stanley Cup playoffs, which starts tomorrow. So it's neither here nor there. But I did want to pop in here and just say that I am not freaking out. Some of you might be. Some of you might not be. Some of you might not even watch baseball. I love it. It's the best thing about my summer is being able to go home on a weeknight, just pop down, enjoy, relax, and watch some America's pastime. I mean, we're about a month away from the All-Star break. That's another milestone that I think we need to wait and see what they are. Okay, we got a 4-game losing streak right now. Let's reset the timer. April 26th was when they lost 5 straight, and then they went on a run. Let's start from ground zero today and see where they are at the All-Star break, which is right around the second week of July. Baseball matters in the regular season to a certain extent. It gets you in the playoffs. It matters your seeding, who you're going to go against. But really, I mean, just like all sports, it doesn't matter what is going on until you get to the end of the season and if you're rounding into form. And the Phillies roster as a whole is going to change. They are going to add bullpen pieces. They're probably, at least I hope so, trade for a valuable bat from the right-handed side. I just... all I've been hearing is negativity. It's like the sky is falling, and I'm just like, can we just take a step back and realize that baseball is comprised of 162 games, and a half of a week stretch is not going to dictate their entire season. This is going to be a really short episode. I came in here. I just wanted to give my thoughts. Dan and I are going to be doing a new thing. I guess I forgot. I buried the lead that this is episode number 68 of the Del Valley Sports Pod. Usually we have such a defined way to open where I go to Dan and I introduce everything. This is episode number 68. I think it's going to be 68.1, and then we're going to do 68.2, because what I was talking to Dan about is, because our schedules are kind of thrown off during the summer, I'm going to be doing this a little bit more. I'm going to pop on here by myself. I'm going to speak my piece if I have piece to give. And then if it doesn't work out with Dan where we can get together a certain week, then he may take it the next week, or even, as I was talking to him today, he might pop on with his brother Pat, or come on and give his takes as to maybe what happens in these next 2 to 3 games against the Blue Jays. And you know what? Maybe the sky is falling. Maybe this team had their hot streak against bad teams, and now we're starting to see who they are. I don't think that is the case, but we'll find out. But Dan, I think, is going to pop on later this week. And if he can't, that's fine. We might reconvene next week, but we're going to do this a little bit more just to kind of, keep the listening going, keep ourselves locked in. I'm always locked in, but it is nice to just get up on the mic and kind of talk about it. I'm literally just venting to anybody listening right now. I'm venting to my computer in my office because there's been a lot that has happened. That 17-2 loss on Saturday was not fun. And I still watched the whole game because I'm a sicko. Weston Wilson was throwing slow pitch, and and if you didn't see it, the umpires were giving him strikes that were 6 inches outside the zone because he just wanted to get the game over, which is hilarious, in my opinion, because it was still Major League Baseball. It just did not look like it. But regardless, the Phillies are back after a 4-game losing streak. I have no doubt that they're going to take 2 of 3. That's my prediction from this. And then they get to go out to Pittsburgh against a team that is really not playing great baseball. So let's hold on to our hats. Let's not throw everything out the window, lose our minds. Things are not as bad as they seem, and that is my opinion. My opinion might be wrong. And if it is wrong, I will come up here and I will say I was wrong. But yeah, we're going to do this a little bit differently throughout the summer. We're obviously Dan and I are going to get together. Iceman, always here. Shout out. He said, the sky is not falling. Go Phils. Amen. Thank you. Thank you. That's where I am. You're going to have blips. I mean, the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Tigers, they're all going to have segments of this season where they're not going to play well. They're all going to get swept in some kind of series. They're probably going to have a 4-game losing streak. It's the way baseball goes. You're playing all these games all the time. You can't have your best stuff every week, every time, unless you're Scotty Scheffler. He seems to be the only person on the face of the planet who can show up with his best stuff every time he goes out to play. There's my golf 30 seconds of the evening. But yeah, I wanted to get something out there on paper before this next stretch of games, because I know there's been talk abound about where this team is. Are they really what they thought they were? And yeah, the Phillies are just fine, guys. I think the Phillies are fine. And that is my ultimate takeaway. This team is still really good. We have great players. Dombrowski's going to do some work. And come Tuesday of next week, I think we will have calmed down and almost forgotten about the fact that they got swept by the Brewers in embarrassing fashion. So, yeah, that might. My computer's messing up right now. That's fine. But I'm going to keep talking just in case it is working. I'm dealing with things on the fly here. Passwords. Remembering all my passwords. Here we go. Love that. And yeah, if I am still recording, thank you for listening. This has been episode number 68, the Jordan Mailata episode of the Del Valley Sports Pod, part 1. Part 2 is coming probably later this week with your boy Dan. And as always, thank you for listening and popping in, and go Phils.